Hey guys, what's up? Today I'm going to be doing a video on the top 5 books that I have read so far this year. I know a lot of people usually do this around the middle of the year, and while the end of the year is pretty much about 4 months away, I still thought I would do this video just so you guys know so far the top 5 books that I have read this year. This may or may not change by the time December is over. I'm not sure. I still have a lot of really cool books that I'd like to read this year, but for now I'm just going to tell you guys about the top 5 books that I've read so far this year. I have read a lot of really great books this year, but I think that I have narrowed it down to the top 5 that I have read. It's hard to think back to the books that I read in the beginning of the year and compare them to the ones that I've read now, because obviously the ones I've read now are the most fresh in my mind, but I think I have done a good job of narrowing it down, so I'm going to talk about them really quickly because my battery light just started blinking. Surprisingly, there are quite a bit of young adult books on here, considering that I've been super obsessed with new adult this month. It's always so hard for me to pick. I'm so terrible at making decisions. I even currently am not sure if this list is really as solid as I want it to be, but this is the one I'm sticking with, so let's go ahead and get started. Coming in at number 5 is The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey. I know that this is not everybody's cup of tea, but I personally really enjoy sci-fi. I just really have to be in the mood for it. The movie is coming out in January. I saw the trailer for it recently and I just remembered how much I really loved this book. This just follows an kind of alien invasion on Earth. It's hard to explain, but there are just these 5 waves that go with the invasion of Earth, and I don't actually remember what they all are now. So it says, after the first wave, only darkness remains. After the second, only the lucky escape. And after the third, only the unlucky survive. After the fourth wave, just one rule applies: trust no one. And so now it's the dawn of the 5th wave. And you're kind of trying to figure out what each wave really means and kind of trying to figure out what the 5th wave exactly is. So as readers, we are kind of plopped in during the 5th wave through different sections from different characters' point of views. You kind of learn what happened in the first few waves, and it is about this girl Cassie, and she's just trying to find her little brother who's been taken from her, and it also follows the boy that she had a crush on in school and some other really cool characters. So I really enjoyed this and I gave it 5 stars. It was obviously one of my top 5 books of the year. I brought it in at number 5, and I would definitely recommend this if you like sci-fi. If you don't like sci-fi, like for me, it's not my favorite genre. I have to be in the mood for it, but I definitely enjoy sci-fi when I read it, and I would say if you haven't read this book, then you should definitely check it out. I personally didn't mind the little bit of slowness and the world building, but that's something that, you know, if I'm really interested in the world and the story, then I don't mind a little bit of slowness that way. Coming in at number 4 is Finding It by Cora Carmack. This is the 3rd book in the Losing It kind of companion trilogy by Cora Carmack. This was the very first new adult series that I read, and I loved all 3 of them, but this was my favorite out of the series. It follows the best friend of the girl from the first book, and her name is Kelsey, and she is traveling through Europe. She's kind of lives this really crazy party lifestyle, and she meets this guy who takes her on all kinds of adventures and convinces her that she can enjoy life and have fun without drinking her life away. So I really enjoyed this book. It was a lot deeper, I think, than the first one. I have a review on this entire series on my channel if you'd like to watch it. I will link it in the description below. It was super hard to pick which of the books I was going to put in this favorites video, but I definitely think this is my favorite out of the entire Losing It series, and you know, it has a special place in my heart because it was the first new adult series that I ever read, so I just had to pick this one. Coming in at number 3, I can't choose between 2 books, but they're from the same series, and that is The Eternity Cure by Julie Kagawa and The Forever Song by Julie Kagawa. I can't decide which one of these is my favorite. I love them both so much. There were certain scenes in each one that I just completely took over my heart. I think I might have liked this one a little bit more just because the ending really hit me. It ended on quite a huge cliffhanger, and if you guys remember seeing kind of my beginning wrap-up videos, I can't remember which one it was, maybe my May wrap-up, I was just freaking out over this book, and this book killed me. It killed me. Thankfully, I had this book to go right into immediately, but I loved both. These are from the Blood of Eden series. This is book 2, and this is book 3. It is a vampire novel, and it's one of the darker vampire novels, I feel like. This one's really depressing. It has these weird creatures called rabbits. These are just like vampires that were not born as actual vampires. They were born rabid. That's kind of the best way to describe it, and they're crazy and dangerous, and so life is pretty scary in these books, even for vampires that are, you know, not part of a town. This is a series that, you know, the beginning of each book is a little bit slow because there's a lot of traveling and stuff. And in the first book that did bother me a little bit because it took quite a while to get into, but I ended up really enjoying the first book. And then because I fell in love with the characters and the world so much, I didn't mind the slowness. I just switched the books on you, haha. I didn't mind the slowness at the beginning because I enjoyed reading about the characters and their banter back and forth and stuff. I would definitely recommend that you pick up the series. If you think the first book's going a little slow, I would recommend to give it about half the book or so because it really does pick up and I really enjoyed it. So these two, can't decide which one, but I think maybe this one. These two definitely would come in at number 3 for me. Coming in at number 2 is Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. Guys, if you follow me on Goodreads, then you know I have been in absolute agony over the end of this book. I loved this book. It was so good. It completely exceeded my expectations. There was not a dull moment in this book, and I love this triangle so much, but at the same time I hate it because I love both boys so much and I just couldn't for the life of me figure out who I wanted her to end up with, and it was just causing me so much agony. But I love all the other characters and I loved all of the little storylines kind of feeding into one. I did enjoy the ending. I was happy with how it wrapped up. I am going to be doing a spoiler discussion on this book because I have a lot of feelings and a lot of things that I want to talk about regarding how I feel about this book. I still feel really sad. I feel a lot of pain and I have this intense book hangover from this book that I've had book hangovers that have been pretty bad in the past few years, but I don't think I have had one this bad since I read Shadow Kiss, like sophomore year of high school. That's by Rochelle Mead. It's the 3rd book in the Vampire Academy series. I don't really know what to do. My heart was saying, please read another Shadowhunters novel. Please read another book about the Shadowhunters. So I was gonna go to City of Lost Souls, but the pain from this book is telling me that I need to take a break and read something happy. So I've been reading some new adult books that are a little bit lighter than this for the time being, but this book definitely got me back into young adult and fantasy and stuff, and so I'm really excited about some of the fantasy books that I have recently added to my TBR list for the next few months. So I didn't know which one I liked better, whether it was the Infernal Devices or the Mortal Instruments, after I had read Clockwork Angel, but after reading Clockwork Prince and Clockwork Princess, unless the last 2 Mortal Instruments books completely blow me away, I think I might enjoy this one just a little bit better, but I do really enjoy the Mortal Instruments. I'm one of those people who actually really enjoys those books, even the kind of more boring ones. I really don't think they're boring. So, but this series is so amazing. If you didn't like Mortal Instruments, definitely read the Infernal Devices. But this may not be for the light of heart because seriously, this love triangle is just it's ridiculous. I know some people ship, you know, one or the other very strongly, but I'm sorry, I'm one of those people who ships Hair Greystairs. I think that's what the ship is. I ship Will and Tessa, I ship Will and Jem, I ship all 3 of them together, but Jem and Will is platonically. I love them so much, guys. I just can't. You'll be hearing more about this in my wrap-up, but also I have a spoiler discussion coming, so yeah. So I realized last night when looking over the footage from this video that I completely left out one of my favorite books that I would consider a top 5 so far from this year, so I'm just gonna kind of slip this in as 1.5 and we'll just forget the fact that technically that would make this my top 6 books that I've read so far this year, so we're just gonna slip this in and pretend that it doesn't change anything. And that book is Lover Awakened by J.R. Ward. You guys know I raved about this one at the beginning of my channel as well. I love Black Dagger Brotherhood. It is an adult paranormal romance series. This has quickly become one of my all-time favorite series now, so I kind of have, you know, my favorite series in young adult, my favorite series in new adult, and my favorite series in adult. I just wanted to slip this in because I didn't feel like it was an honorable mention. It's definitely one of the top books that I've read this year. So we're just gonna slip this in as a 1.5 and just forget the fact that I forgot about it in the first place. It really is a favorite and I'm obsessed with it. If you feel like you are, you know, mature enough for adult romance literature, then I would definitely recommend you check out the series because it's really amazing, and definitely get to the 3rd book because, oh guys, this follows the brother Zadist and we love Zadist. Yeah. Coming in at number 1 is Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. I bet you guys guessed it. I bet you guessed it when you didn't see it on this list yet. This is my favorite book that I have read this year. But I mean, you should know that because this is my favorite book that I've ever read. So I adored this book. You have seen me rave about this book in, I think, 3 or 4 videos now, and I have a review of this book on my channel. I will link it below, but guys, you've got to read this book. It follows 2 characters, Tate and Miles is a pilot. Tate goes to live with her brother for a little while she kind of makes some money and figures out what she wants to do. And she's in grad school, so she's just kind of living with her brother while she figures things out. She meets his best friend, Miles, and they start up this sexual relationship because Miles does not want a relationship. He doesn't want to fall in love, and she doesn't have time for a relationship, so they start having sex. And you know, guys, new adult contemporary romance, any kind of contemporary romance, you know that that's not going to work out. So I highly recommend you read this book. It's just so good, and I'm so glad that I read this. I read it on a whim. I read it because I thought that it was the least interesting looking of all of the Colleen Hoover books that I saw, and it's hilarious now because now that I read all the summaries, this summary sounds the most interesting to me. The cover is the most beautiful to me. Maybe it's because I just love the book so much. I don't know, but I loved this book. It got me completely hooked on new adult, way more than I already was, so highly recommend this book. Go read it, please. It's so good. Oh my god. So those are my top 5 books that I've read so far this year. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let me know in the comments if you have read any of these books or if you're going to pick one of them up because I talked about it. I would highly recommend all of these. Obviously, I love them, and I will see you all very soon with another video. Thanks for watching. Bye!